Hello Reformers and welcome back to Phantasy Calradia. Now, when we last left off, we were doing a rather considerably good job at eliminating the Kingdom of Swadia. Now you can see here that they've, given me another ransom, and I'm going to be taking that money, thank you very much, because just before I hit the record button just now, the Kingdom of Swadia had a huge just flood of vassals leaving their faction and joining none other than the Ridus Majocracy. And I gotta say, I'm a bit weirded out by that, because you wouldn't think that they would join them. I mean, why would you join them? It doesn't seem like they have anything in particular that is extremely... Oh, well, maybe they do. But it doesn't seem like they have anything that's very tempting to any potential vassals, but I suppose I really shouldn't care that much, because even though I may have wanted a couple of vassals, I'm not really sure whether I want Swadian vassals. Let's be honest, I'd much prefer to have maybe some of the Delthasum Empire vassals, or something along those lines. Maybe they could join us at some point, but unfortunately, no. It seems like that's not going to be happening anytime soon, which is a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? Alright, so yes, we're leaving off here from where we previously were in the previous episode at Rinjar Castle. I actually thought I'd start to record here because I thought these guys would attack, but it seems like they're just wanting to be a bit of a nuisance and try and raid maybe one of my villages, which is not very nice of them. So let's see what I can do here. Maybe we can... Shall we just make peace? We can't make peace. We can't just pay them a small dividend and be like, oh, everything is forgiven. No, we're certainly not going to be doing that. Thank you very much. Alright, so this might be a really good opportunity for me to try out and see whether I can actually get Ice Storm to work, because let's face it, I'm pretty awful at using it for some reason. I don't know why, but I kind of am. Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of damage, but they are... Well, see, that's the thing. They are under some trees, so maybe that makes a difference. Maybe I can use a fireball instead. Did that do anything? That did nothing. No, of course it didn't. Oh well, never mind. Let's just tell our infantry and cavalry to charge it. Oh, okay. That was very loud. That was extremely loud. Remind me not to get our shadow wizards into melee combat. At least. Oh wow, okay. Yes, that was deafening. Absolutely. Maybe that can be turned down a little bit. But yeah, anyway, point is, that is a victory for us, and yeah, I just had a little bit of a sneeze there, so that's great, isn't it? Anyway, 37 of them were eliminated right there, and we are able to take him prisoner. I'm actually going to continue taking them prisoner, because as much money as we can get is always a good idea. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually just see what Miraga is currently wearing. I think I should probably just upgrade her armor. I think she currently has some pretty good stuff, with the exception of this shield. So I'm going to allow her to continue using her dwarven sword, because I mean, look at that. That's a pretty solid sword right there. So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so let's not do that. Thank you very much. Let's do this instead. There we go. Okay, so she has equipped a new piece of armor. So I suppose that's decent enough. Alright, so yes, unfortunately, we now have a bit of a dilemma, and in the end of the previous episode, I speculated on whether we would be able to attack the Delthasum Empire and say hi to them and just see if we could actually take something from them, but I don't know whether that's really going to happen. But I suppose the best thing for us to do would be to attack one of their outlying outposts. So in other words, the only one that I can see in range is Barrowhaven Castle. So we're going to go over there and see what I can do about taking it, if at all possible. Hopefully the remaining Swadian vassals see fit not to be a bit of a nuisance, and, they'll just leave their faction or stay where they are and just relax a little bit and protect that one village that they have under their control. So let's hope that they do that. But otherwise, let's go on to Barrowhaven Castle and test our might against the Delthasum Empire. I don't know how many they're going to have in the garrison here, because bear in mind that this save game is the oldest save game that I have in any of the series that well, technically it's their class showcases? Yes. Showcases, yes, anyway. Technically they're all class showcases, and this is kind of the series that I started to begin with, so I thought to myself, maybe the garrisons are going to be extremely large because they may have, you know, carried over from previous patches, but it's nice to know that they have not, by the looks of things, and they do actually update with every single patch that you apply to the base mod, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So let us go in here and see what we can do. There is 500 of them, so we might have some issues. Yes, we might have some issues, but I think we might surprise ourselves. Maybe. It really depends. It really depends. I mean, they obviously have some mages as well. I was going to say archers. Yeah, they obviously have some mages as well, and it just really depends whether they have a huge amount of necromancers and things. I actually don't know what kind of spells the necromancers have to offer, but it seems like our shadow wizards, thankfully, are able to eliminate many of them from range, which is very, very good. Now, bear in mind that the strongest advantage that the Delthasum Empire has in general when it comes to fighting in battles is their numbers. Their numbers are the main reason why they are so extremely deadly. And that is the thing that we're going to try and exploit here by just basically going in and trying to eliminate as many of them as possible, try and take out their battle advantage, try and make their battle advantage not matter at all. And that's exactly what's happening here. And I think the main reason why we're able to do this in the first place is because we actually have a pretty large army. We actually have a pretty decent army size. And if we didn't have about 200 units, then I think we would have a much, much more difficult time, because I would assume that they would probably sally out and try and eliminate us outside of the walls. That is probably what would go down, but yeah, anyway, everything is going pretty swimmingly right here. I'm kind of surprised that I'm able to drain life from the mummies, because technically they are undead, but I suppose they are imbued with some kind of life force. I thought I could move around there for a second. I drain 1 hit points thanks to my falling damage, yes. Oh, that's pretty awesome. I'm actually wondering whether that drains from the nearby enemy, or whether it drains from me, and it just randomly says that. Who knows? Anyway, 15, wow, 15 renown just from that small battle. That's pretty awesome. Alright, well, let's just head in here and just take these guys out. I'm actually kind of surprised that we were able to take this so incredibly easily, but again, it's because we have a large army. We're able to prevent them from outnumbering us so heavily that they are going to then sally out as a result of that, and that is the main reason why we would have some issues in the first place. So, yeah, I can imagine that we're going to have many, many problems if they have maybe 800 units or more, perhaps. Maybe that's going to be the number that will actually be our undoing. Alright, well, we're actually able to capture someone. I'm very surprised. Look at his blue eyes. He has some very strikingly blue eyes, doesn't he? Anyway, let us capture him. Oh yes, there we go. That is pretty cool. Actually, you know what I should have done? I should not have captured him. But I can still talk to him, hopefully, and then maybe let him go. I would appreciate that, if at all possible, because I actually made a bit of an error there. It would have been much better to let him go so that he, maybe, will want to join us if we eliminate the Delthasum Empire relatively soon. Anyway, I'm just going to defer appointment of a lord here. I don't really want to spend time garrisoning this place, so I'm going to just try and gain a bunch of zombies or skeletons or whatever, and there we go. Oh, nice. We're actually gaining 1,500 right now. We have 37,000 in the treasury right now. That is literally only due to our ransoms, by the way. That is not due to anything else. So, I mean, apart from obviously the fact that we are still gaining a pretty decent profit in terms of, you know, our weavery and dye works and the various, you know, fiefs and things that we own. So, yeah, that's pretty nice. Anyway, we're going to be speaking to this fellow, and hopefully we'll be able to... Ah, yes, you're free to go. Yes, there we go. That is fantastic. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing that is hopefully when we get the Delthasm Empire down on their knees, you know, begging for, well, undeath or whatever it is they want, then things are going to go quite nicely, I think. I hope, at the very least, because I'd very much appreciate one or more of their vassals joining us. I think that would be pretty awesome. And this is actually fantastic as well. This could not have come at a better time. So we are just going to accept this. I don't need to dictate the peace terms or anything like that. We're just going to accept it, gain a bunch of right to rule as well, which is obviously quite good. And that means that we only have one opponent to focus on. And, oh look, there you go. There's some more defections. Master Play has renounced his allegiance to the Kingdom of Swadia and joined the Riotous Magocracy once again. It seems like the Riotous Magocracy is, well, turning into quite a vassal-rich faction, which is kind of strange in the first place, but oh well, never mind. Okay, so let's just see. Is there an epidemic currently going on here? No, doesn't seem like it. All right. Well, we do have a couple of people that I can level up here as well, and I guess what we'll start doing is, well, I guess I don't know. Shall we just start going down to the Delthasm Empire and see what they have for us? Because I can assume that if we run into the big guy, and I'm talking about Lich King Maliran himself, we're probably going to have a couple of issues. Alright, so I have been building our siege equipment at the Keep of Thorns, and luckily it is a ladder, so we should be done relatively soon. Unfortunately, there seems to be this fellow who wants to either intercept us. It seems like he wants to intercept us, which is probably going to be a bit messy, so I'd prefer to go in to the Keep of Thorns and see if we can take this, and then maybe he's going to decide to, well, besiege it, I suppose, and then we'll be on the defensive, which would be a little bit more my style, but he does outnumber us rather a lot, so let's just see if we're able to capitalize on our Shadow Wizards here. I mean, do bear in mind that I am placing my Shadow Wizards pretty far behind everyone else, and usually the AI will target anyone that is in range. So I'm talking about actually them making it so that you are being attacked if you're in the closest proximity, because usually they'll attack the closest target, the AI. So that's usually the reason why you're going to want to put infantry and whatever else you have in the front, and then you can have the Shadow Wizards at the back. As you can see, my Shadow Wizards are actually taking a bit of devastating damage here from the Dark Mages, and I mean that is to be expected because the Dark Mages are very, very powerful indeed. So let's see what I can do here. Maybe I'll be able to do something with my Fireball spell. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what we like to see. Nice. And I think we killed most of them, did we? Did we do some damage? Well, we definitely dealt some damage, that's for sure, but I don't know whether we killed too many of them. Let's tell our Balrog to go in now, and our cavalry. We actually have 2 Balrogs, so this is going to be pretty awesome. I mean, if they die, it's not going to be that awesome, because they do have that self-destruct capability, which is obviously going to make things very, very messy. It's just a little bit unfortunate that most of our Shadow Wizards right now are using... Is it Missile Storm? I think they might be using Missile Storm or Magic Missile or something like that. And I'm actually going to die very soon if I am not careful, so let's be very cautious here. And it's a bit weird, really, because I wouldn't have expected the Mummy Archers to continue targeting me after the initial charge, but I suppose they just want to kill the player that badly. Arkane's like, it's just a day, it's just a regular day for me. Yeah, everyone wanting to slay him because he's the evil Necromancer. Alright, so let's go over here and maybe if we can... Oh, hello there! One of the Necromancers has joined us. Very nice. That's pretty good. Alright, so this is one of the castle layouts that I'm actually a bit dubious about, because usually it's very, very difficult to get anywhere here because they have such just excellent entrenched positions, and it's very difficult to get to where the archers actually are. As you can see, that fellow's having some difficulties as well because it seems like he's been slowed by a slow spell. I think he's been slowed by a slow spell, unless that's a bug. I don't know, but I think it might be a slow spell. It looks like a slow spell to me because he's actually moving, but very, very slowly. So obviously that would indicate that it is actually a spell. But there you go. That's a pretty nice victory right there. We did lose quite a few units, though. I mean, we haven't lost any units, or very, very few, in the last couple of sieges, and that is going to start changing. You just mark my words. It's going to start changing very, very quickly, because if we try to take the Obsidian Spire, well, I actually don't even know whether we'll be able to do that. First off, that might actually be too difficult for us. I don't know, because there's going to be at least 1,000 in there, I would assume. And you can assume that the battle advantage is then going to reflect that, and as a result, the battle advantage is going to then make our job very, very difficult, because as I've said in previous episodes, mages, in my opinion, they're not that overpowered. They're powerful, you know, they're powerful in numbers, just like basically any high-tier unit is going to be powerful in numbers. You know, if you get 50 Dwarven Paragons, for example, or you get 50... you know, Orc Bear Warriors, or, you know, anything like that. They're all going to be relatively powerful. And if you reduce that number by a certain amount, doesn't really matter by how much, but if you reduce that number, it is going to make a huge difference. So if we fight in the Obsidian Spire and we have many less units to fight with, and I'm talking about, I don't know, how many are we taking in there right now? About 60? Maybe about 70, maybe sometimes we have 50 as well, dependent on how many units they have and what their battle advantage is. Because in our, you know, in this particular siege right here, we had a battle advantage of -2. So obviously we're going to have a bit of an issue with numbers. So that is obviously a big, big deal. So if the Obsidian Spire gives us, I don't know, if they have, let's say they have 1,500. So that's probably going to be a battle advantage of -6. If we can take the approximation of the numbers, you know, at a bit of a glance there, and if we can take that and then apply it to the Obsidian Spire, then we are most likely going to be facing some very stiff opposition. Haha, stiff opposition, because, you know, they're dead. Rigor mortis? Yeah, okay, well, anyway, point is, shadows, there we are. That's what we want to get. Let's wait here for some time, because I don't know whether the vassals are going to decide to attack us. Oh, the Kingdom of Swedia has declared war against the Kingdom of Vaegirs. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we might be seeing a bit of a resurgence by the Swedians right here. And it is obviously a much better idea for them to attack a faction more on their level, because obviously at the moment I'm using some pretty strong units, and maybe the Vaegirs are going to be not as difficult for them. Oh, well, it doesn't seem like that actually has any effect, because it seems like every single one of the vassals, or most of them at the very least, are still defecting, and they are still joining the Riders Magocracy. Not one of them has decided to join a different faction than that, which is very strange in my opinion, but never mind, we're going to continue onward. Do I have some food? Oh, I've got some rotten butter. Isn't that hilarious? I have one piece of bread. One piece of bread. That is not very good. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? Just to end this episode off here, I'm going to go over to the Obsidian Spire, and I'm just going to, for, you know, interest's sake, just check out how many they have in the garrison there, because I'd very much like to find out what they're currently working with, and, you know, maybe we can then work out whether we're actually going to be able to do it. This guy does want to attack me. We're going to have a -2, -3 battle advantage against him, so I don't know whether I really want to attack him. Lich King Malairon has 758. That's going to be about -4, -5 battle advantage, I suppose. And the Obsidian Spire doesn't have as many as I thought, but 915, and 40 of those being Dark Mages, 21 of them being Necromancers. That's going to be a bit of a handful, in my opinion. Anyway, that will be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.